rollerblades. We have delivery boys. We get Mikey in a car, dropping off comics to people who order them. $25 from Lefty but not Looney. He says, new to channel. I've heard you say you've been canceled before. Can you explain how you were canceled from comics and who the two women are in your live stream introduction? Need this to understand the context of your movement. How was I canceled? All right. So I was canceled because I voted for the president ostentatiously. It rubbed everybody the wrong way. Before that, I was, rather loud and open about my Republican views. And that rubbed people the wrong way, too. But people just had to deal with it. It was no big deal when Obama was president for anyone in comics to be Republican because we didn't have any power. So who cares? Ha ha ha, weirdo. These 8 years belong to Obama and the Democrats. But when Trump was elected, I had a MAGA hat, and I took a picture of myself wearing the MAGA hat the night of the election after we knew he won, with a grin on my face. It was like this, yes, or something like that. I can't remember what it was. Seemed normal to me. Seemed like a normal thing to do, but it drove everyone crazy. People who I thought were my friends walked away from me, were cursing me. And I was hate mobbed for the first time in my career. I didn't know what that was like. Now I'm hate mobbed every day. It's wonderful. But at the time, I didn't understand what it was. And I'm used to being loved. I'm the guy who draws Green Lantern. I don't understand. Why is this happening? Basically, over the course of a year, SJWs in the comic book industry mobilized to get me removed from DC Comics. I had an exclusive contract there. But what they did was they got every writer to agree not to work with me ever again because they started to tell everyone that I was a white supremacist. This was at the time where Richard Spencer was all over the news. Anybody who voted for Trump was probably a white supremacist. And who wants to work with a white supremacist? So I was, I had all kinds of trouble. Then they started writing articles about me. And at the same time that all this was happening, I discovered Comicsgate. I was watching all these videos about what was going wrong in comics. All this stuff was happening simultaneously. And before too long, DC Comics let me know. They said, hey, we're not going to renew your contract. Never fired. That's not how it works because you don't work for anybody. You're a contract agent. But what they can say is, we're just not going to give you any more work. We're not going to renew your contract. We're not going to give you any work. So that was shocking. And then at the same time, see, that's bad enough. But at the same time, your reputation is being destroyed because there are people who are actively out there all over the internet who spend all day long, every single day on Twitter, on social media, spreading rumors that you are a racist, you're a bigot, you're a white supremacist, that your entire goal in life is to harass, which is one of their words, women and trans people. And they use language very effectively to destroy your life. Hey, who wants to be around somebody who harasses women and trans? I don't harass women except for my wife. I don't know any trans people. I didn't know any trans people. Oh, he's racist. I asked a black guy in comics, in indie comics, who was going around calling me a white supremacist. I said, let's have a conversation. Why don't you come on my show? I'm going to show you I am not racist. I'm not a white supremacist. That guy used that opportunity to claim that I was harassing him because I'm a racist. So there are all kinds of little traps that they put you in order to destroy you. And they're very, very, very good at it. And I made every possible mistake. I apologized. I thought I was dealing with sensible people. My apologies were proof of my guilt. And they did a great job on me. People watching me hopefully learned from my cancellation because I did everything wrong. And now, fortunately, I'm able to educate people. Who are the women in the live stream? Well, there's one woman in the live stream currently. Her name is Kelly Sudaconic. And the reason why she's in the live stream, or the reason why she's in that video, is because it's very instructive. It's something personal. I don't like Kelly Sudaconic. That's not the issue. The issue is that in that video, You're seeing distilled into just a few minutes what the attitudinal problems of the comic book industry are and why we are where we are, why Comicsgate exists. An arrogant attitude from comic book professionals who are meant to be creating a product that other people can rely on. This industry is, it's an ecosystem. Comic book professionals are hired by comic book companies. Comic book companies then use distributors to distribute product to stores. Comic book stores, 2,000 of them in the United States of America, are dependent on us to create product that is sellable. They order 3 months in advance. The system is completely stacked against them. It is non-returnable product. And therefore, it's important that we create stuff that's commercially viable for these stores. When you have comic book professionals who are essentially celebrities in the comic book field, they certainly do feel like they're celebrities. We certainly, I'm going to say we certainly did feel like we were celebrities. Mistreating fans, telling them to go F themselves, saying that I'm going to be using the comic books that you're reading, comic books that you have been reading for some time, to espouse my own bizarre, peculiar, radical politics. And if you don't like it, I'm going to call you a bigot. And also tell you don't buy them. So you don't like what I have to say, don't buy the comic books that you've been buying your whole life. Tough. I don't know. It's magic. It's magic. If you don't like what we're saying, don't buy comics. It's infuriating for a bunch of different reasons. It's infuriating because as fans and customers, people should be expecting better service and better treatment than that. It's infuriating because there's a whole, like I said, ecosystem of retailers who are dependent on comic book professionals to be a little bit less self-involved and to be thinking a little bit more about creating a widget, a product, a comic book, a story that is going to sell. So it's funny to see her say that, display complete contempt for the consumer, which is what you see there, where she's just like, comic book readers, magic, don't buy my shit. And then to see another clip of her saying, look, sales are down. We're worried about comics, everything. It's almost as though those two things are connected. And that is why Comicsgate exists. Comicsgate exists because political radicals invaded the comic book industry and made it inhospitable for anyone who was not willing to automatically look at everybody working in comics and outside of comics and immediately progressively stack them, disadvantage some and advantage others based on immutable characteristics. And those people who were not willing to fall in line or at least keep their mouth shut were rapidly dismissed from comics while the comic book industry collapsed. 1 second. In the meantime, there's a voracious hunger for comics. You're seeing Japan. This is what I was yelling at this morning. Manga comic books are selling hundreds of thousands, if not millions of copies. People do want to read comic books, but they want stories. They want escapism. They want to see, they want to believe in characters and escape into a world. SJWs, radical activists within the comic book industry who are currently using their power in the comic book industry in order to pretend that they're advantaging and giving opportunities to women, people of color, and trans, who are secretly just ushering in other radical activists to further ruin the comic book industry in order to create social change and political advantage, are not interested in that. They do not create realistic characters that people can buy into and believe in. And you know what it's like to be involved in a TV show, to be heavily immersed into another world. You watch it all the time because the characters are real to you. They're imperfect. They have flaws. They have character traits other than the color of their skin that make them believable and make you want to consume more of their stories. That's what we have to be creating in comics. We have to create that in comics. They are creating that in Japan. They're creating that in manga. They're creating worlds, escapist worlds for people to enjoy. Marvel Comics used to do that. I used to be able to go and take 75 cents to the drugstore and buy more and more of the world of Marvel Comics, which I believed. I believed it existed. Hey, Patrick, I see you in the back room. I'm going to be solo, as it turns out. I'll catch you next time. Sorry, pal. Thank you for showing up. I believe the world existed. I believe that it existed, and I could be a part of it as much as I had 3/4 to involve myself. That's magical. That is magical. They've lost that. They've just lost that ability to create that illusion, and it's cost them money, and it is cost us everything that we had. There's no reason why Americans could not compete with Japan. There's no reason why we shouldn't be able to create comic books with these incredibly popular world beloved properties, these beloved IPs, to compete with manga. So I do blame partially, not entirely, but I do partially blame the attitudes displayed in that video. I'll play it again in case you haven't seen it. You don't know what I'm talking about. This is what I'm saying right here.
And if you don't like my politics, don't buy my book. Don't read them. And if you don't like my politics, don't buy my book. Don't read them. Girls read comics. Girls have always read comics. Problem solved. White boys, comic book reader. Don't buy my book. Don't buy my book. I literally can't even think. We can have a little conference on that. Would you please get your politics out of my comic books? Don't read them. What comic books are you reading? What comic books are you reading? Would you please get your politics out of my comic books? Don't read them. What comic books are you reading? What comic books are you reading? Comic book reader. Comic book reader. May I curse? White boys, don't read them. We're very worried about comics right now. Independent comic sales are down. Mainstream comic sales are down. Everything in the mid-list is way down. You don't make a lot of money that way. There is nothing inherently masculine of heroism. There's nothing inherently masculine heroism. Girls read comics. Girls have always read comics. Problem solved. Magic. Going into the red on singles and not coming out until the trades. Stores are closing. You don't make a lot of money that way. So don't. Comics are booming.
So, compare that to Stan Lee. And that's what I would say. I would say compare that to Walt Disney. Those are my two idols for where I want to go with all caps comics. I'm just one guy, but so are they. They're just one guy. Compare that performance, that dislike, that contempt for the audience with Stan Lee. And Stan Lee loved you. You really felt like Stan Lee was your friend, didn't you? I mean, the way that he communicated with his customers, and they were customers. Got to stop calling them fans. When we put them in fans, we put them in this kind of obsequious, fan stands for fanatic, which is already putting somebody in a questionable position, but they're customers. These are people who spend money or have money to spend on our product, and therefore they are deserving of incredible respect. We don't go white boys. We don't say don't buy my product. We say please buy my product. Please buy my product. I worked hard on it. I think you're going to enjoy it. Let me know what you think, and if you don't like it, there's something you don't like about it, I'm all ears. I want to know. You want more of it? I'm going to make more of it. I'm in this to make money. I'm going to let people in here. Patrick Thomas, if you're still watching, come on back in. I'm going to let Shane in here.